Alright, boys, good morning. Today is Thursday, and we are doing our short breakdown. So, we have NZD/USD once again. So, this has been pretty much the only pair we have been trading on for the entirety of this week because it aligned beautifully over and over again, right? Starting off with the higher time frames, you already know the narrative, you already know the fact that we have this beautiful weekly pattern, massive bearish engulfing, confirming this double top formation, retest and rejection of its neckline, which also happens to be the previous structure point. Daily time frame had formed a similar pattern, right? Big double top pattern. You can also consider this a head and shoulders. As you can see that AOI right there has been used as a very strong support level, and now price had used it as a resistance, right? We were very much anticipating this. Then outside of that, we had price form an evening star formation, rejecting our neckline, rejecting the previous structure point, overall rejecting the stronghold AOI. And I like to call it that way because you can see that price had been using this very precise thin AOI as a strong support level, and now it is using it as a strong resistance level, right? And so we have previous structure points on it, we have candlestick rejections on it on the higher time frames, which you already know that are the most respected, which means that right there is a very strong rejection point, right? 4-hour time frame had formed this beautiful head and shoulders pattern, which is actually even cleaner on the 1-hour time frame. And last night we have actually entered this beautiful position right here, this beautiful short position, after price had grabbed liquidity, rejected our stronghold AOI once again. For offering the entry signal, we have executed on this beautiful textbook position, right? Now there is a catch to it. By looking at it, you might think that this is a win, right? A PNL win, a take profit being hit. That's what it looks like. But actually we have encountered a very unusual phenomena, which is that our stop loss got hit, even though price was several pips away from the stop loss level, right? And that's because a very insane midnight slippage, right? We were just a few pips away from our take profit level when a new daily candlestick had opened, but as you can see, price had opened with a significant gap to the upside. Even like that, price wasn't even near the stop loss, right? We were actually still in profits, but we somehow got stopped out. I'm not sure if that was an error inside MetaTrader, or if that was a just very unusual, insane slippage, but we for sure got stopped out, right? Even though that looks like a beautiful take profit being hit, right? And that's cool, right? We simply log, we move on, right? We remain unwavered by experiences like this, right? A beginner trader might think, bro, this is so unfair, bro. Price didn't even touch the red area. Price didn't even go in drawdown, and I still got stopped out. And then price went straight into take profit, right? That would circle into a whole emotional spiral, right? Making the individual just revenge trade, just trade recklessly, and being emotional, right? But we are very much past that stage, right? That stage is very much one that keeps you unprofitable and stuck, right? You must understand that experiences like this must build you up. You must become an anti-fragile individual to become a successful trader and a successful person overall, right? Many of the concepts I'm discussing in regards of trading very much apply to life and business and everything, physical aspect as well, right? That's why I love trading so much, because the lesson you learn from trading can very much be applied in many other ventures, right? Yeah, so overall valid position. We had price reject the stronghold AOI of our entry signal, which was composed by this 15-minute double top. Very ugly double top by the way, but it was a clean shift of structure. Then price had a pullback, doji followed by a bearish engulfing. Beautiful price action. We took the trade, right? You can see what happened next. And then during the night, so price had formed a middle time frame lower low. Then during the night, price had rejected that main AOI, forming a lower high before rejecting the neckline of the newly formed beautiful head and shoulders pattern, right? Let me quickly highlight it just so you see it. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? That right there, it's a very clean head and shoulders pattern, right? So during the night, price had retested its neckline, as you can see, before rejecting it, offering the new entry signal, which we have used for this position we are currently running in. So the entry signal was composed by this beautiful 15-minute head and shoulders. So initially, upon having price tap into that AOI, price had formed this double bottom pattern. It has retested and rejected its neckline, forming the middle time frame lower high, before rejecting the main AOI, rejecting the neckline of the 4-hour and of the 1-hour head and shoulders, and beginning to move to the downside, right? Very beautiful price action. Price had then confirmed the pattern, retested and rejected its neckline, and we entered right there just after we had this bearish engulfing being formed, right? Then price immediately took off to the upside, grabbed some liquidity above that minor 15-minute lower high, retested and rejected the neckline of the head and shoulders once again, before taking off to the downside strongly, right? That right there, this beautiful textbook price action. And overall, the higher time frames, the middle time frames, right, and the lower time frames all indicate one thing: a continuation of the strong downwards move we were anticipating for the entirety of the week. Actually, if we look closely, we could see that overall price action was accumulating this downwards move, right? It was moving inside the main AOI, right? And this now had finally broken up below that main AOI in which price was moving for the entirety of the week. It has broken below, retested and rejected it, broken below the next main AOI, is now retesting it, and we are anticipating it to reject, potentially starting its strong downwards flush, right? That right there looks absolutely beautiful, right? And it actually looks kind of similar to that, right? Look at that. Kind of looks similar to that. Yeah, overall anticipating price to drop. Now we do have PPI, high impact US news, coming in precisely 31 minutes. New York, it's about to tap in 1 minute, and we will see what the US session has to bring, right? Overall, the situation in the Middle East is getting worse. The United States has restarted strikes against Iran, which is unfortunate. It's really not something we want in this whole, right, war over war. But trading wise, the US dollar is prompted to pump from that, right? A lot of money is being thrown at the US dollar since it's the main safe haven currency, right? Yeah, so the fundamental narrative also works in our favor. Yeah, and now we are simply waiting. This kind of looks like price might form a double bottom, but all the reasons I have just mentioned clearly indicate that the higher probabilities for price to move to the downside versus the upside. We simply trade the higher probability while completely being detached from the outcome, right? If now price forms this double bottom, stopping me out, that's completely cool, right? I have executed, first of all, identified, then executed on the higher probability, and so I have already won despite of the penal result. If I keep on doing this, right, the expectancy of my edge will eventually turn the odds in my favor and give me a solid chunk of profits, right? That's the way trading goes. Losses are just business expenses, and you must be at peace with that fully, right, to become a profitable trader, right? Otherwise, the information the market provides, information on which you act, right, and information on which you improve your edge, right, you gather data from the markets, then you use that data to improve your system, right? So that information will simply get hidden by the brain's defense mechanism, right? Our brain has a defense mechanism against emotional pain, and it will simply hide the information that's painful from you, right? So for instance, right now, if we get if I would have been emotional, right? Right now we have a retest, right? And because I'm emotional, right? Hypothetically speaking, right? I'm emotional, right? We have price pulling back right now. It goes into red. It goes into red. It wants liquidity. It goes into red, right? By this point, I'm so scared of taking a loss. I'm so emotional that I simply do not see the fact that price is simply grabbing liquidity for the next leg down, right? That information is being hidden by me, by the brain's defense mechanism, because I'm simply afraid of losing, right? And so the brain will make up all of these excuses. Bro, price is heading in drawdown. Price is now approaching the break even. I don't want to take a loss. Let me get out, right? And then you dip the position, and then what happens next? Price grabs liquidity and regains its movement towards the downside, and you pretty much taken a break even or a loss. But if you were watching the markets from an objective perspective, not an emotional perspective, then you would have simply spotted that out. Price is now grabbing liquidity clearly, and then it will restart its leg down, right? And by the way, all of this is being mentioned under a probabilistic thinking, right? You must spot the higher probability, and we are always talking in probabilities, right? Price action can look 100% textbook for a move to the upside or a move to the downside, and still not do that, right? Not do the higher probability, let's say. So we are always talking in probabilities, but long story short, you must be detached from the outcome. And that's easy to say, very hard to do, but eventually with time and experience, you actually get to that state of mind, to that neutral state of mind, which simply allows you to take advantage of your edge and eventually become profitable over a bigger echelon of trades, right? That's expectancy. You need a 50% win rate with positive risk to reward ratios, so like a 1 to 2, and you're profitable. You can make a lot of money and scale from that. All you need is a 50% win rate, right? And the other 50%, right? So half of the trades you take are losses, and you must be truly at peace with that, right? And the distribution in between the wins and the losses is for sure random. So you cannot be hesitant thinking, bro, this is gonna be a loss. I've seen this before, it's gonna be a loss. First of all, every moment in the market is unique, despite of what you think you saw in the past. No, every moment in the market is unique. Then there is a random distribution in between wins and losses. Must fully understand, and not just understand, but accept that, right? At an, let's say, emotional level, at a functional level inside your operating system, right? Yeah, and we just keep going. This is NZD USD. Not really interested in any other pairs. overall, as I said, USD looks good for buying. Last night, actually, very early in this morning, we had a beautiful trade lining up on USD CAD right there, double bottom, retest, break, retest, beautiful break above the accumulation. This right here is textbook. If we have something like a pullback here, then we are interested in buying. Otherwise, the move right now looks overextended, which is not cool neither for our NZD-USD trade, because, for instance, if price pulls back right now, it will cause a temporary bump in NZD-USD, but that's cool, right? We remain unwavered and we simply wait for the outcome to be displayed, right? Not even that, you don't even have to wait for it. After you have entered the trade, you have the time to do whatever you want with it, right? For me, it's about building, right? I'm building this AI agency, and that's what I'm working after I'm done with trading. I have scanned the markets, I have run my analysis on the markets, I have executed the trade, I have journaled the trade, and now while I'm waiting for the outcome to be displayed, I'm working on this AI agency of mine, right? AI link, right? I'm really trying to take advantage of this huge leverage point, which is artificial intelligence, of course, right? And so that's what I'm going to do, helping trades grow. I'm really trying to create real value and create this valuable agency, right? Which is amazing. Cool. At the same time, I want to mention this, bro. The ability to focus deeply is not just beneficial, it's not just great, but it is very much essential and necessary for you to succeed. And I'm very much aware that building this agency while focusing on trading is not really the best thing in regards of the focus thing, but I'm really trying to separate the two, right? At one point, you will be taking care of a lot of things, a lot of businesses, a lot of investments, a lot of ventures, a lot of media, a lot of things you will build, right? But you will do that by building and implementing the right systems, right? That's the word for it. That's how multi-billion-dollar companies are created, by brilliant individuals, right? That individual is a master at creating systems. Let's take Elon Musk, for example. This guy has multiple, not just one, right? Multiple multi-billion-dollar businesses, right? And huge corporations, right? Like millions, hundreds of thousands of people work there, right? And that's because this guy it's a master at creating systems, right? There are simple systems, of course. That's the goal at first, create simple systems, and then eventually you transition to creating bigger systems, right? But simplicity is a powerful weapon at first. Simplicity. Keep it simple yet effective. Then as you scale, the complexity of the system increases as well. But you must be sure that your system is very much capable of scaling before you do, because leverage can work for you, but it can also work against you if you apply it too early, right? So yeah, bro, we're just getting started. As I said, this is a long-term process. I'm really starting from the bottom, but eventually I will get in the top of the mountain, and then there will be a whole nother mountain. The point is, while you're striving for all of these great results, you must fall in love with the process, and you must enjoy life even from this very early stage. You must seek happiness, right? Real happiness, not fake happiness like distractions and all of that other stuff, noise. I'm not trying to get into it, but real happiness, right? Really hard to describe that, of course. There is no recipe for it, unfortunately. But if you are a good man, and if you are really honest and true to yourself, true to your moral code, you will eventually get to that point, right? And freedom will help a lot with that, for sure, right? I'm not even doubting that. It's not about the money, it's not about the material stuff, the Lamborghinis and all of that stuff. It's all about the freedom behind the money, right? That's just how the world works. That's just how the game is played. If that's the game, I will become a winner at it, right? You can call me greedy, you can call me whatever, but the system is run by money. You must become financially free so you can take care of all of the other stuff you want, right? You need freedom. Yeah. So, voice is now rejecting the main AI, as I said, and yeah, we are simply waiting. We have the data release in precisely 18 minutes, and we are simply waiting. Cool. I'm gonna end this now. Of course, I will be making an update on this trade, but never forget, bro, keep striving for greatness, because you are meant for it, and absolutely nothing less. Once again, this is Shoni, right? Keep on striving for greatness, brother, because you are meant for it, and absolutely nothing less. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, bro. Time for action. Let's go.